like one of my 3 goals for the end of the year is to get in a boxing match with another YouTuber. And we actually started to organize one with a kid from a rival town of ours. We started to organize a big boxing event, but it fell through.
In the civilian world, I think the thing that and even now, like still sometimes struggle with is like when you have freedom to do whatever you want, you have to then create the structure yourself. Like,
yes.
When do I wake up? And like, what are the things that I want to put my effort into? And like, what are my dreams and aspirations? So when I got out, you know, I knew I wanted to go to college. I thought I wanted to do investment banking and economics and all that. Well, you know, life takes its twists and turns. I graduate. I'm then in a job and I'm like, well, like, what now? Like now I am doing the thing that I like said I wanted to do when I got out. It's a different thing. I'm not in investment banking, whatnot.
So I'm like hallucinating, like seeing like logs and like stuff in the water. And then at one point, like the CEO and everyone's like falling asleep in the boat, that's when you know it's bad.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, oh.
Why do training accidents happen?
Yeah. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And shout out to our CEO, he was great. You know, everyone on the boat was great, but you know, everyone's in the black at that point.
Yeah.
And I remember a fish jumped in our boat and I looked over at my staff sergeant, who's an absolute salt dog, you know, Fallujah and all this. And we both just look at each other, look at the fish, and then I'm just like, look back, and I'm like, I didn't just see a fish jump in the boat. Like, it didn't happen. Eventually, we made it back.
I both simultaneously love the city and hate it because everything's at your fingertip, but at the same time, it can just be so exhausting at the same time. But it's definitely a unique city.
So I did the boot move, went down to an auto body shop in San Diego, and I bought a BMW. Didn't know anything about BMWs, didn't know they were a sports car, expensive to fix.
Yeah.
Bought a BMW for like $13,000, but I didn't know what interest rates were.
Yeah.
So it ended up being like $22,000. Ended up totaling the car about a year later after we got back from Bridgeport. And yeah, I'm still paying that off to this day.
Welcome to the In the Field podcast, where we speak to veterans, service members, and those in the transition process to learn about their stories.
Yeah.
Isaac.
Hey, sorry, chapstick.
No, Isaac. So great to get you out here. Where are you coming in from?
I'm coming in from Quantico, Virginia right now.
Man.
So flew out of DC last night, late flight, landed here.
Yeah.
And first time in New York City.
How is your first time in New York City so far?
Well, I got here last night. I was exhausted. We did night ranges all week.
Yeah.
And I forced myself. I'm like, I want to lay down in bed, but I'm right next to Times Square. So I was like, I have to go and see Times Square. So I go outside and immediately I'm like wide awake. It's just like a sensory overload.
Yep.
And I'm seeing dudes getting smacked in the face. I'm seeing guys in clown outfits walking around with the loudest speakers I've ever heard in my entire life. Yeah. I got, you know, old people singing the New York song by Jay-Z. I'm just walking around and I'm like, oh, I forgot. I came out here to get pizza. I'm not even hungry anymore. So then I found some good pizza and maybe it was placebo because I'm in New York, but the pizza was phenomenal. Yeah. And I got some garlic knots too. I was pretty hungry. Yeah. So I ate half of those last night. The other half are in the fridge right now. So
nice. Well, to get you to some good spots today, New York is an interesting. There is just so much. I both simultaneously love the city and hate it because everything's at your fingertip, but at the same time, it can just be so exhausting at the same time. But it's definitely a unique city.
It was wild last night because it's like 11:30, and I'm walking around, and I was sat down outside of the Jay's place that I got pizza at, and I'm sitting there and eating my pizza and just observing, and there's people walking by with like shopping bags, like grocery shopping at like midnight.
Yep.
Totally awake, and I'm like, this is so weird. Now I always heard, you know, New York is a city that never sleeps. And I realized that last night. Yeah. And then I heard all the horns honking and stuff. And I'm like, it's just like the movies.
Every time I walk around, the scene that always plays in my head. I'm walking here. It's the only thing I can think about. Like when you see everyone honking, people crossing the road with cars right behind them. It's just that just plays in a loop in my head.
Yeah. I mean, I grew up watching Spider-Man, all those movies, you know, like I said, Casey Neistat, watching him, and just it's literally, I mean, it's exactly how it is. This morning when I was walking over here, it was like, this is really cool. I feel like I'm like in the movies and the videos that I used to watch as a kid. So,
well, let's jump into the main event here. So we've got the cold weather MREs and we just got some hot water. So before the hot water goes cold, first question I typically ask all my guests is, when was the last time you had an MRE? But as you're still active duty, I assume it was not that long ago.
Yeah. So believe it or not, it actually has been a decent amount of time.
Okay.
So I was a grunt, so I'm very proficient with MREs, ate a lot of them. And then I kind of, as we call it, pogued out personnel other than grunt. So I'm currently in Virginia working on the range. If I want food, I just drive over to the PX and then come back to the range. So it's been a while.
Do you get the Pogey Bait truck? I think there's another name for it.
Yes,
that goes
the
out
gut
to
truck. The gut truck. Yep. The gut truck. So it's been a while though. It's been about since I deployed. I think Australia was the last time, or it was when I was on ship. So about almost 2 years since year and a half since I've had an MRE.
So a little while. Yeah. So we got 2. It's up to you. So I think you got the breakfast one. It is 10 in the morning or something like that. Or you can go for the spaghetti with meat sauce. What are you feeling?
You know what? I'll stick with the breakfast one.
You sure?
Yeah.
You sure? No, I'm sure.
Right, absolutely. I've never had a cold weather MRE before. So
all right. This is exciting. Well, let's crack them open.
Let's see if I can still rip it.
Exactly. I mean, it's been 2 years. You're under the gun right now.
It's a pain to rip these things. That's for sure.
Oh, there we go. Okay, this one wasn't too bad.
Dig in there. Wow, you're proficient. You do this more. I've
been doing it for a little while. So I mean, that is the thing.
There we go. I got it.
There we go.
Oh man.
I mean, the pressure's on, especially representing not just the Marine Corps but active duty.
I've got to look proficient with this.
Exactly. I've been out for 6, 7, 10 or 11 years now. Mm-hmm. So I can't be showing you up on that. All right, so we got the dehydrated meal right here. Okay. What do you have in terms of okay, so I've got M&Ms.
What's the expiration date on those?
It's 100% expired. 2023.
Okay, that's not too bad.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know if you remember the ones when I was in, we would still get expired ones, especially if it was like the Pogey Bait stuff. What was your go-to like candy?
The M&Ms. I love M&Ms. The Skittles would get like really tough to eat. The M&Ms would stay soft though. Really?
Oh yeah, I'm kind of a fan of the like rock hard candy, but I also like chewy and sour more than I like chocolate.
Yeah, and and they were incredibly sour, like sour level off the charts too. So
it was the the condensed sour that happens when it's just completely dried up.
So I'm assuming with the cold weather ones, it's a little bit more calories. I would assume.
Think so. I mean, that's a great question. I do zero research.
Yeah, I mean,
all I know is I do know that the drinks end up being a little weirder because I love the lemon lime. That's like my favorite drink powder. But for the cold weather, it like has some weird extra thing to I think like keep it from freezing. So when you like mix it, it's almost like cloudy.
Yeah, it makes sense. You have to like the just the right amount of water to like make it hit.
Do you drink these like dairy powder? I never
really, which one is that?
This one's strawberry banana, which I don't think is in the regular ones.
Yeah, I've never had the strawberry banana. I didn't normally consume the drink mixes unless I was like in the black.
Yeah.
So when I was in like Bridgeport doing mountain warfare training, like absolutely I was consuming those. But like if I was on like a 3-day field op, I can hold off on those.
Yeah. The orange flavor. For whatever the orange flavor and the lemon lime, I was almost always drank.
Might as well throw it in the canteen or an Nalgene.
Yep.
Extra flavor, extra calories.
Yep. And the mistake everyone makes is putting it in the Camelback, and then your Camelback tastes like the drink forever.
I used to do that with liquid IVs. And I ruined like 2 of my Camelbacks with liquid IVs, but.
Because it's good in the moment, and then like a couple weeks later, there's still the residue, and you're like, why does this taste so bad?
This is a gnarly MRE though.
So what did you get?
So I got, obviously, this is what I'm really, really excited to try right here. The Western style scrambled eggs with ham, peppers, and cheese. Yep. Never had a cold weather MRE, like I said, so I'm excited to try that one. But then we got the cheddar cheese pretzels, which is one of my favorite snacks in the regular MREs. Really? Love these. The granola with milk and blueberries, which is another one of my favorite snacks. This is like the perfect MRE for me. This is unbelievable. You know me.
Exactly. We did some research and we scoped out the perfect MRE to bring out over here. Got some
satellite footage of me in the field from a couple years ago. Toasted brown sugar cinnamon toast. So this is a Pop-Tart, and the Pop-Tarts are delicious. They're always broke though. And then I got the maple muffin top, which is delicious.
That's a fire.
This is unbelievable.
Yeah, that's a fantastic MRE actually.
I would eat this whole thing right now.
Which is funny because I don't think there's a breakfast MRE in the regular MRE cases anymore. There used to be, I think maple sausage is probably the closest. There used to be, and I might be misremembering, a like some sort of egg-based one when I was in, but it was horrible, like not good.
Yeah, I had heard about the egg-based one. I'm definitely more junior than you for sure. I joined in 2021, so they don't have that one anymore. But the maple muffin top is a really good one, and then it comes with like peanut butter and some other stuff. So what we would do is we would mush up the maple muffin top, and we'd heat up the peanut butter.
Ooh.
Pour the peanut butter in there, and then the syrup that we'd get, and we'd pour the syrup in there. We'd make like a little maple muffin top bowl packed with flavor. And it was so good. That's when you had time, obviously.
Exactly. But, well, let's get these starting to cook. Yeah. And you know what's funny is I've been getting more into like outdoor hiking and mountain house. You can actually just buy these, like the non-MRE version of them. And I think they're actually kind of expensive for just the...
Really expensive, actually. Oh, yeah. I went and bought some MREs for one of my videos one time because I had a civilian try them. And I went and it was like $14 for one MRE. I'm like, are you kidding me? $14 for one of these?
Yeah. They're not cheap, man. Okay.
Yeah, these are interesting.
Where do you have to cut it in order for it? Because I don't think they make it. There you go. Here.
Let's see. Let's get in there.
And here's the other fun part. So 16 ounces. I'm going to assume this is about 16, right? Give or take.
Yeah.
I'm no mathematician. Okay.
Is there not a line on here? I'm surprised there's not a line.
The DOD can't afford it.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, makes sense.
You got to pay extra
budget,
for that. Yeah, exactly. Budget cuts. As we start to cook these up, what was Isaac's upbringing like? Because you've been a content creator now for 11 years?
11 years, yes.
11 years. What got you into it? Like, what was it like growing up? Like, what was your inspiration to start making YouTube videos?
So I started doing YouTube. I did YouTube way before that, actually. I've had multiple channels throughout my life. And one of the earliest ones, it started off with me with like my tablet as a little kid. And me and my buddies would go out, me and my brother and my buddies, we'd go out and we didn't know how to edit or anything.
Yeah.
So we'd go out with our tablet, record on it, and to cut the scene, we'd pause it. And then we'd go to the next scene, we'd unpause it, and then pause it again, go to the next scene. And I remember the first big video we did a Slenderman video back when Slenderman was the big, the big thing. And as a kid, Slenderman was terrifying.
Yeah.
And so we did that, and then I'm gonna grab the spoon real quick. So we would do that, and I remember it took so many takes to get this video done. We did like 17 takes because we'd accidentally we'd mess up a scene, or we would like accidentally hit the end button, and we had to restart from the start because we didn't know how to edit. We just knew how to pause the video. So I started from that, and to now understanding how to edit and like understanding how to script a video and tell a story during a video. But I think it just came from, me growing up. I kind of grew up in like the YouTube era and watching creators like, I honestly started with watching music videos and just loving how creative they were.
What kind of music you into?
Party rock anthem, thrift shop, stuff like that. And I was like, these are awesome music videos. Like I want to, and we made like little music videos at times.
Nice.
And then as I progressed, I started watching YouTubers, hey, cringe alert, Logan Paul, Jake Paul. I was a big Jake Pauler and Low Gangster. And I tried to like copy their styles almost, which just didn't work because I had no clue how to edit like they did.
Yeah.
And then progressed, became a big fan of David Dobrik, started to actually study what I was doing. And then I lived in a very small town in Illinois. And so no one did YouTube or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I had kind of like a ton of opportunity just to do things that no one else was doing. And my buddies and all my friends that I grew up with were super open to helping me with everything, which, thanks to them, like I always say none of it would have been, nothing that I've ever done content-wise would be possible without my buddies.
Nice.
And so we grew up in a small town. We'd make tons of videos. We'd get ideas. We'd go shoot music videos. We'd make songs that were just really bad songs. And we'd shoot music videos and just continue to progress. And then obviously ended up joining the Marine Corps and started doing YouTube in the Marine Corps.
What did your parents think about like YouTube content creation? And then this is not meant to be like a slight at Illinois, but was part of that draw to content creation like just something to do? Yes. Like I grew up in suburbia, Massachusetts, right? And I had done, some videos with some of my friends as well, where it's like when you're 12 or 13 years old, you're like, I got nothing to do, but I've got a camcorder and a cul-de-sac where we can run around and, be silly. Let's just like shoot some content. Was it just like an outlet for your energy.
Absolutely. And like I said, I fell in love with that creative aspect.
Yeah.
And just making videos and stuff like that. And as a kid, you want to be famous, but there was nothing to do. I grew up in Dwight, Illinois, population of 3,000. You're surrounded by cornfields.
Shout out to Dwight.
Yeah, shout out to Dwight, Illinois, hometown, holding it down. But yeah, I grew up there. There's nothing to do besides, you help your family on the farm, or you literally just drive around with your buddies and mess around.
Yeah.
So
Did you have a farm?
What's that?
Did you have a farm or?
Yes, my dad's side of the family is big farmers. So we actually lived on the farm, and then parents divorced. So then I moved with my mom into town.
Okay.
But I was so close to my dad. So we'd go out there, ride the 4-wheelers around and stuff like that. But just endless opportunities to go out and just do things, just mess around. And that's the content I grew up watching was, guys going out and just messing around and doing regular stuff. So I was like, let me record this too. And yeah, just not a lot to do out there. So we'd take mattresses and we would hook them up to the back of my Mercury Milan, go to the gravel roads. And
completely safe, right?
Yeah, completely safe.
Yeah.
We're an iPro and everything, proper PPE. And then we'd just mattress surf down a gravel road.
Yeah.
And that's like one of my favorite examples.
Have you seen there's a Canadian content creator. I don't know if he still makes videos, but it's just him on a snowmobile, and I think he starts every video where he's like, we're just out here being silly, man, and just like launches his snowmobile and crashes every single time, doesn't make any jump, but Evel Knievel type of stuff.
I haven't seen it, but that sounds like a genius content strategy.
It's hilarious.
Snowmobiles, and then hey, you get paid to do it again because people watch your videos.
And he's in Canada, so the healthcare is totally fine. He's not racking up the bills. A little bit more dangerous in the US if you don't have good insurance, but no, that's awesome. I mean, we didn't have a farm in suburbia Massachusetts, but whenever I went to go, talking about when I was a kid being out in Sweden, and so my uncle had a farm, and it was always fun being out on the ATVs or snowmobiles. And when we go to visit, it's either, if it's summertime, get to do summer stuff, in the wintertime, just ice fishing, snowmobiling, all that stuff. It's such a fun thing to do.
And having the 4 seasons allows you to kind of experience a lot of things because, your life in the summer is completely different from your life in the winter. And if you grow up in Southern California, I was stationed there for 3 years, so I kind of got the feel of it. It gets a little bit colder, a little bit warmer at times, but there's no season. So it's pretty much the same thing year round. Yeah. Illinois, especially up here in the Northeast, Massachusetts is when it's winter, and when it's summer, it's hot, it's summer, it's humid. So you kind of have to you kind of experience 4 different kind of lifestyles within a year. Yeah. And it's just awesome. It just opens up your eyes to so many things and allows you to kind of I kind of like the winter. So I want to go move somewhere where it's cold and do cold stuff. Or I love the summer. I want to go live by a beach. And I'm on the beach side. I want to live by a beach. So
what got you interested in the Marine Corps? Was there anyone in your family that served? And then especially doing all this content, did you think of, just for my own experience, I was thinking film school or, trying to pursue those creative routes. And because of a few different reasons, went the military route. But was that ever an option or things that you thought about? Or was there always that idea that you wanted to enter the Marines?
Yeah. So when I was a kid, I wanted to be a spy.
Nice.
CIA spy. I didn't know what
You're
the CIA was.
Right now.
I know. Yeah. Don't ask me questions.
Put the black bar over your eyes, change your voice.
Operator. And then played a lot of Call of Duty when I was younger. And I always say this, Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare, the first Modern Warfare, one of the first missions are U.S. Marines flying into Saudi Arabia. And that was my introduction to the Marine Corps. Yeah. What a great marketing tool. What a great recruitment tool. You know what I'm saying? You're flying in with your Marines and you land in what was supposed to be a mimic Fallujah, and you're just clearing homes. I thought that was so awesome. That was my first introduction to the Marine Corps, right? And then grade school, Sonoma, Illinois, population 500. Had 16 kids in my class. My history and science teacher, Mr. Blair, love that guy. I haven't talked to him in years, but one of my biggest inspirations. Shout out to Mr. Blair if you're seeing this. He was a U.S. Marine that served in Desert Shield, Desert Storm. I'm pretty sure he was infantry as well, but very stoic man. Big, tall, didn't hear very well because he had a grenade go off, but just really smart and stood out from the rest. Yeah. And we had Veterans Day assemblies every year. Yeah. And every Veterans Day assembly, whenever they'd do the Marine Corps hymn, after it, he'd stand up and just yell "Oorah" as loud as he could. He had a booming voice. Yeah. Yelled as loud as he could. And I always loved it. And then after years of it, because we were from a small school, I started to yell "Oorah" too whenever he would do it. And then I remember 8th grade year, it was one of the final days of school. We're sitting down, we're making homemade ice cream in his class. And it's a final day where we're just kind of getting to talk to each other. And he's going around asking us all we want to do in life. Graduating in 8th grade. We know what we want to do in life by 8th grade, right?
Yeah, exactly. Asking a kid what they want to do in life is
yeah, we have it all figured out.
Exactly.
And so it comes to me, and not to say anything, but I think I was one of his favorite students.
Yeah.
I tried my best. I was trying to be the teacher's favorite.
Yeah.
But loved history at the time. And I told him I want to be a Marine and I want to be a history teacher after. So I literally wanted to be just like him.
Yeah.
And went to high school, kind of lost track of the whole Marine thing. That's when I started to really get into the YouTube thing. I started selling merchandise while I was in high school.
Nice.
And kind of just trying to do the creative route of things. And I got really into basketball as well. And I wanted to go play college basketball. So I kind of put the Marine Corps thing in the back of my mind, didn't think about it for about 3 years. Senior year comes around, my buddies started to join the military. Three of my best friends, shout out to Camden Hudson, they joined the Marine Corps, they're still in. And then my buddy Jared joined the Air Force. And I remember telling them, they're like, what are you going to do if we die in war? And I'm like, I'll make sure there's a statue in Dwight, Illinois for you. And I'm talking to him. And then like, selfishly, I was like, I want a statue in Dwight, Illinois. And I was like, you know what? And then at the time, COVID was going on. And so content was really hard to come by, and I kind of burnt myself out. And I remember the start of, I believe it was 2020, rough time for the world, right?
Yeah.
Middle of COVID, we're not in school, we're doing e-learning. And I'm just sitting there on the couch, and I was like, no basketball season. Pretty much my basketball dreams kind of been wiped away.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got to figure something out. I wasn't like depressed or anything, but I was definitely like, I got to figure something out.
Yeah.
And so then I was in accounting class one day, and I should have paid a lot more attention in accounting class.
Right.
Shout out to Miss Wimpkin, great teacher. I didn't though. And I was sitting there, and I'm like, I go to the Marine Corps website, and I was looking at it, and I was looking at some of the pictures, and I'm like, you know what? I want to do this again. So I asked to go to the bathroom. I go to the hallway, call up Sergeant Thompson, the recruiter, and I'm like, hey. He's like, what's up? What's your name? And I'm like, my name's Isaac. I want to join the Marine Corps. He's like, oh, really? I'm like, yeah, I want to be infantry. I knew I wanted to be infantry from the start, because that's like what you see in the movies and everything.
Yeah.
And so super easy recruiting process.
Right.
Met him a couple days later. Actually ended up becoming pretty close to him. He always tried to talk me. He was an infantry Marine himself. Always tried to talk me out of it. He's like, trust me, dude, it's gonna suck. I don't know if you want to do this. And I'm like, no, I want to do this.
Good recruiter. I mean, usually they're just like, man, whatever, makes my life easier.
Great guy, and he's out now. Yeah. But big mentor for me, obviously. I think anyone there, I think their recruiter a lot of times is a big mentor.
Yeah.
It's a big step in your life for anyone that ends up doing it. And that kind of relit that spark for me. And I remember once I made that decision, my motivation and everything just went through the roof.
Yeah.
Put YouTube in the back pocket, started getting to CrossFit, and I had a great last 6 months before I went to boot camp.
Nice.
So.
There's nothing to say against the Army. I mean, Army is a fantastic, great branch. I do think the Marines put a lot of emphasis on their recruiters. Yes. And I think they probably do the best job in that like servant leadership type of style, where they're like trying to do they still got to hit their numbers and all that, whatever. But really trying to like look out after you and trying to just set you up for success, which not to say that the Army doesn't do that or the other branches don't do that, but at least my experience, and granted this was now 18 years ago or something like that when I was in high school, but my recruiter, he was like a good person, not like a bad person, but it was just like, like, what do you want? Like, it wasn't like let me coach you into this role. What did your parents think about service? Yeah.
So at the time, my parents, they were divorced, obviously.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned, but my relationship with my dad wasn't that great at the time. And I remember I had told my mom at Allianz, a place in Dwight, Illinois. And she was kind of like, I told her and my brother together. My brother was psyched. He was awesome. I love my brother. Shout out to Connor. And he's about 3 years younger than me. He was psyched. He's like, oh yeah, it's awesome. My mom was kind of like, oh my gosh. But she was like all for it. I got to get in there. I got to try this.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say, I got to
try this. And then I told my dad, and my dad was super proud. And I genuinely think and I think my dad can even admit to it as well, that decision to join the Marine Corps, selfishly or not, really saved my relationship with my dad.
Nice.
Just because, I mean, you know how it is, join the military, although once you're in, you realize, it is a big deal, but you realize when you're in, it's like, well, it was different for you, but like me, I didn't go to war or anything, You know what I'm saying? But like, people really respect that. And as a father, when your son decides to do something big with his life, it's a big moment. So
yeah. And I mean, and it sets you up. I mean, there's good and bad about the military. I'm not saying it's a perfect thing, but it, I think, nets out to very positive outcomes.
Yes.
Most of the time.
Yes.
Like obviously some people have horrible experience and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But like by and large, you set yourself up for success. And I think my parents, I was a terrible student. I mean, I almost dropped out of high school. And I think they were worried about the safety side of things, especially given, 2010, 2011 at the time. But I think they also saw it was just like, you're at least trying to do something with your life, which is, good. Did you do the delayed entry program? Or?
I did, yes. So I joined the Marine Corps. I enlisted in about April of 2021. And I was still in high school at the time, so I couldn't go to the Marine Corps. I had to graduate high school, obviously. So I joined the delayed entry program and shipped off in August. So I was in the delayed entry program for about 5 months, roughly. And while I was in the delayed entry program, it gave me a lot of time to PT at the recruiting office, get to know my recruiters, ask a ton of questions. And I met a lot of people that were also joining the Marine Corps. And then I'd also get to kind of help out the recruiters, like help them recruit. We'd go to like public events. And when you're a poolee in the delayed entry program, you're motivated. You're like, I'm going to go be a Marine. I'm going to go be a Marine. Like, I'm all for helping out whatever I can do. I want to feel like a Marine already.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, the delayed entry program was great. And I think it's one of the best things that the Marine Corps has, because some people are in the delayed entry program for a year. And it's just a great program, especially for people that aren't quite ready yet. It gives them the opportunity to really prep themselves. And I think that Marine Corps recruiters do a great job. Every recruiter I've met does a really great job of like really caring about the poolee.
Yeah.
Like they obviously they have numbers to meet, and obviously you're going to meet bad recruiters.
Yeah.
There's bad apples in every tree, but a lot of recruiters genuinely care about the relationship they form with those poolees. And I think that just comes from like the brotherhood aspect of, the Marine Corps and military in general.
Yeah.
So yeah.
The few, the proud.
The few, the proud, the brave. Yeah. Whatever. Something like that.
One bite score. Thoughts on the
one bite? Everybody knows the rules. My favorite part about this is I don't taste the preservatives. Maybe I haven't. Maybe it's because I haven't had one in a long time, but I don't taste preservatives.
I'm going to make a wild assumption here without actually fact checking this as I'm staring at this. I wonder if they even have any because it's dehydrated. So the regular ones, you need preservatives because it's still like liquid in it. Yeah. And because it's dehydrated, that's the preservation. But I'm making a wild assumption here. Do not fact check.
That is a very valid assumption in my opinion.
Yeah. But I mean, it's got a ferrous sulfate, which is sulfate is fine. Yeah, man. I think these are just mononitrate riboflavin. I think that's all just
and the most
vitamins.
The most impressive thing about this, everyone wants to be big nowadays. 30 grams of protein in this.
Ooh.
And this is heavy.
Oh,
this is heavy. Like this, I'm not gonna lie. This MRE, if I had it in like a field op in the summer in Okinawa, I wouldn't be able to eat it all. This is a lot of food, and this is heavy.
I have found these are way more filling than the standard MREs because this is also this is 520 calories.
Yeah,
27 grams of protein, solid amount, 75 grams of carbohydrates, 1,300 milligrams of sodium. So you're definitely
not cramping up.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I even when I'm hungry on this show, the couple times that we've done the cold weather, I can't finish them.
Yeah, this is a more bite in here.
Yeah. I don't know what your thoughts are on sharing, but if you want to try this, you can feel free to. Yeah. Or if you want to, you can use your spoon. Yeah.
There's some spaghetti in there.
The spaghetti is actually really darn good.
I'm not going to lie. The egg I just had wasn't fully non-dehydrated yet. A little bit crunchy. It's all right, though. That's my fault.
Some of the meatballs in there have like a spongy texture to them. But flavor-wise, I think it's solid.
Okay.
Let's see. That's good. Yeah.
I really like this one. That actually tastes like legitimate spaghetti.
Yeah.
Not like, great Italian restaurant spaghetti, but like Chef Boyardee kind of stuff.
Yeah. It's
put this back there. Yeah.
I don't know if you care.
It's funny story about the spaghetti. It kind of reminds me.
Sure.
My first MRE. Oh yeah, thanks. My first MRE I ever indulged in was in boot camp.
Yeah.
When we got to field week, I was a West Coast Marine. Shout out to West Coast Marines, best Marines. We got to field week at Camp Pendleton, and we hiked out around like 3 p.m. to do I forget what we were doing. We were doing field training. That was the first time we'd done field training. So we hadn't eaten MREs yet. So up to this point in boot camp, we're about 7 weeks in. Every day we go to chow hall, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And it's like super quick meals. You get in there, you're getting screamed at while you're eating, no elbows on the table, you're stuffing your face. And then you get up, get out. So you stand up, aye, aye, sir, and you run out of the chow hall. And then you go out to the squad bay and you just get you have a lot of you're running around
activities.
Things or yes, activities in the squad bays. But my first time at MRE, we go to field week. It's about 5 p.m. So we just got done getting ran around for like 20 minutes just around this place. They're like, we're going to show you around. So by showing us around, they just sprinted us around this encampment, showing us where we hygiene at, where we go to the restroom at, like showing us everything. And they wanted to show us a couple different times just to make sure. So we did a couple laps.
I mean, you got to make sure that you don't forget. Being a private or being new into boot camp or basic training. Boot camp?
Boot camp, yeah.
Boot camp.
Yep.
Want to make sure I don't mess up my nomenclatures here. I swear, and I mean this in the most loving way, the dumbest person on earth is like a brand new recruit.
Yes.
In the sense of you have to be broken down in order to build back up.
Yep.
And all the preconceived things that you think you know have to be thrown out the window, which means like your cognitive processing goes to zero. So even if it's the most simple task in the world, maybe I was just a shitty recruit.
No,
I mean, this could just be me being like stupid. Mm-hmm. It's like, open up your locker and you're like, I don't know how to do that anymore. Like you're like, I don't know how to lock my locker.
Because they induce so much stress.
Yeah.
And no matter how competent you are, most 18-year-olds, you join 18?
Yeah.
Most 18-year-olds, no matter how, some have gone through a lot in life, but like most 18-year-olds, even if you didn't have an easy life, had never been put through stress like that.
Yeah.
And when you go through stress, you start to like lack in like the productivity area. So like the simplest tasks become like rocket science. And you're like, how do I open up my locker?
Yep.
Why is it not opening? And it's like, oh,
yeah,
I'm just freaking out inside. Your mind's moving faster than your body is.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get ran around and then we get into a formation. They have us sit down and crisscross applesauce, and then they start chucking MREs at us. And I'm kind of excited. I'm like, oh, I haven't had an MRE yet. Yeah. And it's kind of heavy too. It has some heft to it. I'm like, open your MRE, ready, move. When they count down from 30 seconds, it's like 30, 27, 28, 29, like it's basically 6 seconds.
Yeah.
They just say like the easiest numbers to say, 1 to 30,
and
then they're done. And so then we yell, freeze, and then you freeze, hold it. And like main meal online, ready, move. So you pull out your main meal, which mine was beef ravioli.
Nice.
Pull it out, and they're like, open it, give you like 10 seconds. Open it, and then they're like, all right, whatever they said to eat your food, ready, move. They give us 30 seconds, like I said, 6 seconds.
Yeah.
So I get like 4 pieces of the beef ravioli, completely cold.
Yeah.
Down, and then they're like, freeze. And then they're like, main meal online, ready, move. So you hold it back out, and then the trash marine comes and picks it all up.
Yeah.
And that's all you got to eat at that MRE. So my first time eating MRE, I got like 4 pieces of ravioli, and then I had to throw the rest of it away. And I was like, there's no way I'm throwing this away right now. I'm so hungry. Yeah. And then the next morning, they did the same thing. And I was like, are we ever going to eat?
Yeah.
And eventually we got a full MRE. But yeah, maybe like, that was like a very memorable first MRE experience for sure.
Talking about like being, I guess, prepared from your preconceived notions of, Call of Duty and maybe like other videos you watch.
Yep.
I mean, I don't think anyone's ever fully prepared for boot camp.
Yeah.
But I guess mentally, what did you have in your mind, and what was like, where you're like, okay, this checks out, or like, oh shit, what did I get myself into?
So I was super motivated, and then about a week out from boot camp, it hit me, and I'm like, wow, I'm about to leave everything that I know.
Yeah.
I had a great mom, great brother, great friends, and just life was great at that time.
Yeah.
COVID was kind of on the back end. Life's getting good. And I'm like, wow, I'm about to put this all behind me and go do something really hard that's probably going to suck. And I was well aware it was going to suck.
Yeah.
I'd watched hours and hours of the same documentaries of boot camp, trying to like dissect every little thing. Super motivated pulley. I wanted to be guide when I got to boot camp, right? Mm-hmm. So we take off. We had to leave our phones at the recruiter's office. We couldn't bring them. So I had to say bye to my family. First time I saw my brother crying. First time I saw my dad cry. I was crying. I was like, wow, what am I doing? So depressed that day. I was like, wow, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And so finally, we get to San Diego Airport. When you're landing at the San Diego Airport, you can see MCRD. It's right next to the airport.
I did not know that for the longest time. Yep. I was watching some sort of video. I'm like, oh, it's literally at the airport.
So and it has a big MCRD in red right there on the gate. So we pull up and I see that. And then, the whole flight, that was my first time ever flying too. Oh, wow. And I was terrified of flying. However, that flight I didn't even think about flying. I was terrified of boot camp. So it kind of got rid of that fear just like that.
I was going to say, I mean, there's maybe some sort of irony, or I don't know what it is, of like joining the Marine as an infantry and you're like, the flight's the scary part.
Yeah. And so we get to boot camp, and like the moment I got on the yellow footprints, I was the very front. I remember I was the very front left yellow footprints. And the moment we get in there and we're like having to undo our bags and pull our stuff out, I was like, why is this so hard?
Yeah.
And at that moment, I'm like, I don't want to be guide no more. I'm gonna lay low. So did not try to be guide. I actually maintained a pretty low profile. I did a pretty good job. Still got caught every once in a while.
Yeah.
Still had plenty of activities, IT is what they call it. And yeah, there's really no way to prepare for boot camp. Yeah. I mean, the way I always try to explain it, the best way to prepare for boot camp is to, yes, get in shape, make sure you're going in good shape, but like make as many memories as you can before you go to boot camp. And the reason I say that is because when you're going through the tough times, whenever you have an hour of being able to just hang out in the squad bay every night and write letters, make as many memories as you possibly can. That way you can just share stories with your brothers there in the squad base, because you become really, really close with the guys you're going through boot camp with. And the best thing ever is like reliving memories with the boys. Yeah. You guys will sit down, like you'll sit down in circles with like guys that are from all over the country, and you'll just share stories from when you were in high school or like before you went to boot camp. And it's like you're almost like reliving that moment, and it just brings so much joy to you. So make as many memories as you possibly can before going to boot camp. That way you can just talk about them while you're there. That's the best way to prep, in my opinion. Yeah.
I mean, it's funny. I was not particularly fit when I got to basic training, and I'd done, the 1 year of delayed entry program. They call it Future Soldier, but I was super thin. You wouldn't imagine it now, being 192, 195. I don't want to lie. But I was 5'11", or I'm 6 feet or whatever, 125. I was a pencil, and I was going to the gym, could not put on weight. But even I think fit people, when you get boot camp, basic training, you can't do 100 push-ups all out. Well, at a certain point, you can't keep going. It is meant in such a way that no matter your physical fitness, you're going to stop being able to do push-ups, and then it's your fault and blah, blah, blah. That's the point of it. But to your point of like having stories, another good thing, hopefully you watch movies, because when you're on like a 15-mile ruck, you got to be able to play those movies in your head. It's you got to have the movie theater going. Yeah. And then another thing, it's kind of funny because I don't know how it was in Army boot camp, but in Marine Corps, like drilling is huge, and the cadences, like the left, right. Like we would, because we hadn't listened to music in 3 months, so we'd literally just like sing cadences, and it'd just be constantly in your head. And so you kind of fall in love with like everything you do at a point, because it's all you have. So like we would like practice our own cadences in the squad. I mean, it's cringy when you say it now. As like as an E4, it's like, I look back and I'm like, why? Now when I see people drilling, I'm like, get out of here. Yeah. But like back then, it's like, it's all you knew. Yeah. In boot camp, because like you said, they break you down to like the new level. You're a new person. So it's funny. I mean, being a boot is simultaneously the most cringy, but also like kind of the most pure. Yeah. Like thing on earth, where you're so motivated, you're so like enveloped into it that you're like, some of them go a little too far, but it is like or at least maybe because I've just been out now for so while, like a pure innocence of like, like
logic.
Yeah. And like you're just,
and you see it, and most people get away from it a little bit. Yeah. It's good to always maintain a little bit of that. That's why you go through it. Right. But there's definitely some people that I've like, there's definitely people in the Marine Corps, especially. And this comes into kind of like, some of the leadership I've seen where I always say like, take the drill hat off. Like you're working with, NCOs now, and being the drill instructor to guys that are 26 that have deployed multiple times, that have, been in for a while, it just doesn't work the same as it does with breaking down new people. Yeah. And by no means are those people that are still, in that kind of like that drill instructor mindset wrong. That's all they know. Yeah. Just like as a boot, all you know is like Marine Corps standards. You know what I'm saying? So you can't fault them. However, it's something you have to adapt to, just like anything else in life. Exactly. And the best leaders I had in the military were ones that could balance the standards of the military or needing to
put on the military hat, but then also talking to people at like a very human level, and balancing that. And you said something else that I wanted to hit on.
Leadership wise.
Just you're 22.
Yes.
I had this conversation with one of my team leaders when I was in, and he was around your age, right? 22, 23. And he would smoke, allegedly smoke me all the time, right? Smoke the whole team. And he was out here in New York one day, years and years later, he goes, I just want to apologize. I was kind of like a dick to you from time to time. I'm like, well, like you were 22 leading 18-year-olds. Like that's crazy to some extent. And there's obviously the need for that in the military, but that's not that much of an age gap between 18 and 22. And just like how you're brand new to being a Marine or a service member at 18, you're kind of brand new to like leadership and how to lead and be in these like complex situations at 22. And I think the military does a good job at prepping you for that. But like when you scope out, you're like, holy shit, like that's crazy. Like what other at 22, you just graduated college outside of the military. Like no 22-year-old college graduate is like leading that amount of people in that amount of complex, austere environments and with that amount of responsibility. Yeah,
it's insane. It's something that like no one does perfect. No one does it right. So for me, I was fortunate in a sense. The military in general is having a really hard time right now, like keeping people in. Recruiting wise, like it's kind of there. You're always gonna be able to get people in, but keeping people in the Marine Corps is tough. So when I got to my first unit over in Cali, my first I was in 2-1. I was in a team leader billet a month into my time there. And it wasn't out of like complete luck. Like yes, as a Lance Corporal, I probably shouldn't have been a team leader yet, but I did my best to stand out for my peers. And I did my best to try to hone my knowledge and be the best infantryman I can possibly be. So I took this team leader billet and at 19, leading other 19, 18-year-olds. And that was one of the hardest things I've done in the Marine Corps. As a boot team leader, I don't have a ton of responsibility. I don't have anywhere near the responsibility as a senior team leader would have, right? I still report to my squad leader as like I'm a boot. But I still had to hold accountability over my peers. And I think that peer-to-peer leadership is one of the hardest things you can do. It's really easy to tell a couple of, PFCs and Lance Corporals what to do when they look up to you as like, oh my gosh, like, not God, but like this guy has done the thing that I want to do. He deployed, right? When you haven't done that and you're talking to guys who have only been through the exact same things that you've been through, it's really hard to try to get them to do things. And a lot of people fail at that. So like one thing that I had to kind of learn was like I have to be super nice to these guys. Like when and it's peer to peer, like most of the time, I have to task dudes out, but like I'll do it with them because like when we were on ship and we had to do tasks, hey, Rolando, like, hey, got to task you out for this. Don't worry, I'll get you on the back end. You're not gonna have to do anything else the rest of the day. I just need you to do this for me, bro. And then, I try to do some tasks as well. You have to be super transparent with them because you know how it is. Like if one of the people you work with in your business come up to you and you're like, or if you're like demanding your guys to do everything, but you don't do anything, it just doesn't look good and it doesn't work.
And it is good leadership. I mean, even now outside and, we have employees that aren't in the military. Whenever outside of the standard day-to-day where I'm like, hey, there's a deadline coming up or something popped up and we really need to like crunch down and do it, I always try to be in the quote unquote trenches with them in the sense of I'm not just tasking you out on this thing because I don't want to do it or like I'm just trying to delegate. But the reality is this needs to get done. We need additional help on it. And showing that like you're at least willing to do it as well with them, I think goes a long way because purely relying on I'm the boss and you need to do what I'm saying can only get you so far. And eventually you just get people to resent you or not want to do it or do a half-assed job.
It goes back to that human factor like you talked about. Like you got to be able to have like people skills. You can be a military, do what I say when I say. But like you got to realize that like especially in today's world, people are smarter than ever. Like you have to be on a human level with people. Like people don't put up with the same stuff they used to put up with. And that's like where you have the old heads coming in and say like, oh, it's not the same Marine Corps. It's soft these days. It's definitely not the same Marine Corps. It's not the same military. It's not the same world. Society's different. we have to adapt to that.
Exactly.
And people aren't necessarily softer. People are just smarter, and they are more open to like, I'm not going to put up with unfair treatment.
Yeah.
So you have to adjust to that and adapt to that.
And it's just like the reality of the world. Like you said, like things have changed to where it's like, well, if I'm never going to be able to see my like kid being born, or I'm not going to be able to have a life, or it's just purely shit all the time, like I could get whatever, like I'll just be in the civilian world. And like, even now, I mean, one of the things that military recruiting has to deal with is, you know, Starbucks employee salaries are going up. They're paying for college. There are private sector opportunities that are starting to get on par with the military, where, you know, a few years ago, for better or worse or whatever, some people would join like for the college opportunity or to upskill, or because it was good wages in relative terms. But when you have other private sectors where like, oh, I can work at Starbucks, not get yelled at, have my college paid for, and all these other things, like not too bad.
Yeah.
And
Great point there.
Yeah.
And you never really think about like, you know, when you think of the military, it's like they'd have no competitors when it comes to recruiting. But like you just said, nowadays, like people are kind of taking that military model. Let's apply this schooling benefit. Let's apply benefits that are really important to the population, and kind of grant security for them and give them those, and kind of steal some of like their, you know, recruits and stuff like that. So yeah, and I didn't know about the Starbucks thing until recently. And when I heard that, I'm like, that's crazy. Yeah. And I would imagine their employment numbers went through the roof.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You know? I mean, it is, there's other things that obviously like esprit de corps, serving your country, all these other things. But yeah, I mean, it's just something where, because I always, you know, everyone always thinks that the previous generation had it, you know, harder than the current one. I'm like, it's just different. Like and also, why does it matter? Like, it's not a pissing contest. Yep. Like, there's no value in being like, oh, the military is getting soft. It's like, are they still a strong force that can defend the U.S.? Are they being developed? You know, do they have opportunities? Like, that matters more than like, oh, back in my day, we got hazed for more time. It's like, yeah, that doesn't mean it was better.
Yeah, like, yeah, and like I love the quote. It's a Marine Corps specific quote, but it goes for all the military. You know, new breed, old breed, still the Marine breed. Like I see that all the time, and I love that quote. I think it's super true.
Have you ever been to San Francisco?
I have not been to San Francisco. No.
There's the Marines Memorial. If you ever go there, check out the Marines Memorial Hotel. We've done some events there. It's cool. As an Army guy, I'm still like, damn, it has like all the, I don't know my Marine Corps history, all the famous
Basilone.
Yeah, you know, yeah. We can rattle out some names. Their ability to distill the esprit de corps of the Marine Corps into a hotel, like bar none, just the coolest thing really ever. Cool. Yeah. I think there's a couple places in New York too that do a similar thing. Mm-hmm. But getting back to it, how long have you been in for? What has been your overall experience? And granted, obviously, disclosure, you're still in to me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I've been in for about 3 years and 9 months now. Mm-hmm. I actually get out in July. Okay. So my experience has been great. Yeah. And, you know, like I say all the time in my videos, you know, there's good days, there's bad days. There's good weeks, there's bad weeks. There's times where I'm like, why did I join the Marine Corps? This past week was brutal. Like, you know, for being in a garrison situation, being on a range, staying over the night in the field, it was one of the worst weeks I've had in the Marine Corps since like I was in the infantry in the fleet. Yeah. And for anyone else, they'd probably like, why was it so bad? And it's like, well, we were working from 8 a.m. to 12:30 at night. And it's like, okay, you joined the military. And you're like, you're right. It just like, it just sucked for some reason really bad. But it's all about perspective. Yeah. It's all perspective. It's how you take from it. And, you know, like, although it was exhausting and it was a rough week, like I'm here in New York City, and I one of my favorite feelings in the world, and something that I'm going to miss whenever I get out of the Marine Corps, when you get done with something super hard and you go get a nice meal after with some good people and you're in civilian clothes, there is no better feeling. Yeah. Because you've been in hot, sweaty camis for a week straight, living in the field. You know, your lips are all sunburned. I'm pretty burnt right now, as you guys can tell. But like, and then you get off, you go home, you get that amazing feeling shower. You finally feel clean. You put on some loose clothes, shorts, t-shirt, and then you go get, you know, a chicken strip basket or something like that out in town, a nice burger, some good food. Five Guys is the first time I went to Five Guys was after a field op. I haven't been back since. It was way too expensive for me, but it was a great experience. And it just hits so hard and you're just like, wow, life's pretty good.
Military can make you feel very grateful for like the tiny things in life and to the feeling of like there's gonna, I mean, it doesn't end. Like even I have an amazing job. I love my job. And there are still weeks where you're just like, fuck, like it's just getting punched in the face. And it's a different kind of, there are some veterans out there who they go like, oh, well, I don't know if this meme still circulates, but when people are like, veterans are in college and they're like, oh, you're complaining about finals, like sounds tough. And it's like an image of somebody like deployed. I'm like, well, I've done both. And like, there were times where it sucked being deployed. There's times when I was in college and it sucked. Like there's just whatever situation you're in, there are like good and bad times. And to the part of the garrison, it's like, yeah, I mean, you definitely learn how to handle that stress in the military. But even when I was deployed, I mean, we were out in a COP and I mean, there was like good and bad there. And then we closed that down and we're in a FOB, which is by and large like a much nicer place. But I even remember there were times like on the FOB where I was like just sad, just like this just sucks, which like comparatively speaking, way less kinetic, way less quote unquote difficult. I just like there are times where it sucks, but it makes you grateful. Definitely makes you grateful.
Absolutely. It's all relative. It's all relative to your situation. And like you said, it's, I remember there was one time we were doing a boat raid in Cali and it was like, we started at 5 p.m. We took off from the boat bay. On the rubber reconnaissance craft. And I was a coxswain, so I'm excited. We're driving boats out in the ocean.
You said coxswain?
Coxswain.
Okay.
Coxswain, yeah.
Is that okay, not to be confused with a coxswain who's the rowboat who's like...
Yeah, I don't know if it's spelled the same. COXSWAIN. I don't know if it's spelled the same.
No idea, but we can cut to that video from, there's like a famous like rowboat from... Cut this part out. Anyway, continue.
But no, I was a coxswain, and so I drove the rubber reconnaissance boat. And I was alpha boat for my company, so I was in the very front with like first sergeant and CO and all them. So we go out, and I love this. This is one of my favorite things I did in the Marine Corps. However, it sucked a lot because you're out in the Pacific Ocean is cold, as you know, very cold, and it's like March, so it's just spraying us. But we went out at 5 p.m. We were hoping to be back by midnight, right? Doing a night raid on this one beach. Ended up incurring a lot of friction. Boats were going down. We're towing like 4 boats in the company. We're going like 3 knots.
Yeah.
Speed wise. And it's only like a 4 nautical mile movement. So it's not that far. Long story short, we ended up getting back at 6 a.m. the next morning. The sun was rising. And mind you, the whole time I'm driving this boat and I was like hallucinating. I'm like looking down at the nautical compass. And I would see like commercials playing on it. I remember that very vividly, like a commercial playing on it. And I'd look up and I'd blink and I'd look back down and I'd be like 30 degrees to the right. And I'm like, oh my gosh, no, let me get back on track. Because I'm the lead boat. And that, shout out to Golf Company. I'm probably one of the reasons it took a little bit longer because it happened like 6 times. So kind of slowed us down a little bit. I'm like hallucinating, like seeing like logs and like stuff in the water. And then at one point, and like the CO and everyone's like falling asleep in the boat, that's when you know it's bad.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, oh.
Why do training accidents happen?
Yeah. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And shout out to our CO, he was great. Everyone on the boat was great, but everyone's in the black at that point. Yeah. And I remember a fish jumped in our boat and I looked over at my staff sergeant, who's an absolute salt dog, Fallujah and all this. And we both just look at each other, look at the fish. And then I'm just like, look back. And I'm like, I didn't just see a fish jump in the boat. Like it didn't happen. Eventually we made it back. But like the feeling after that was amazing, right? I get the same feeling of like when I'm looking at the nautical compass and I'm extremely tired as I do when I'm editing a video when I have to get it out the next day. And I remember in those moments, I'm like, I'll never experience something so bad, like this bad in life. But then I'll be editing a video, something so simple, voluntary. And I'm like, oh my gosh, why did I post on Instagram last night that I'm posting a video tomorrow? This is not going to get done, but I figured it out. You know what I'm saying?
Honestly, it's a great skill to have, and you don't have to employ it all the time, but whether it was like when I was in college and like there was a final due the next day, I force myself into those mindsets as well, where it's like, for whatever reason, I need to post this or I need to do this task, which in reality, when it's not in the military, like what's the worst thing that's going to, it's an hour or few late or whatever. It's a day late. Not really a big deal. but forcing yourself into that, and you're like, it's 3 a.m, I'm exhausted, but I literally can't go to sleep until this is done.
Mm-hmm.
And I think not all the time, but when you use sparingly, it is a good skill to have where you're like, I've set a deadline. Nothing's going to keep me from hitting this deadline. If that means I have to stay up till 5 a.m. to get it done. Like there's been times where I've hit like render, gone to sleep for 2 hours, woke up when I finished rendering, moved it over to YouTube, like done this, or went back to sleep, woke up, posted, and you're like, I get that it's not life and death. I know it's no longer the military, but it needs to get done. And I think it does help with that work ethic.
Yeah.
So I guess and you let me know if you're able or want to talk about some of the reasons why you decided to get out, and like what's on your mind? Like what's next for you?
Yeah. So like I said, I've really enjoyed my time and I've learned a ton. And when I joined the Marine Corps, my goal was to do 20, just like anyone else. I realized very quickly, I don't want to do 20 in boot camp, but it's not that I lost motivation for the Marine Corps. I just was like, okay, I don't think this is like a long-term thing for me. And like I said, I've always been a very sporadic person. So YouTube, whatever it was, I've always loved making videos. But I think it's a combination of, everyone has to deal with a little bit of toxicity in the military. It's just a thing. And when you deal with toxicity, it kind of ruins things for you a little bit,
Oh yeah,
it does. So, dealt with a little bit of that, but I'm not saying that's the reason I'm getting out by no means, and it's not a bad thing to say you dealt with toxicity, it's just it's just how it is. Right. But I love to be able to like go do whatever I want, whenever I want. And although I understand in the military, you can't do that. Like I would love to just like at any time be able to come to New York City and not have to worry about getting back before Monday at 08 or else I get NJP'd. Like I'd like to be able to like, kind of flex my own schedule and travel wherever I want without having to put in leave and stuff like that. And then also I feel like I've learned a lot from the Marine Corps that I want to just utilize that stuff I've learned into like other aspects of my life, YouTube, business. I'm going to go back home in July. I'm going to help my dad on the farm. So day in life of a farmer coming soon. Nice. And then I'm going to continue to do the YouTube thing, go to school, community college out there. I don't know how I'm going to like school, but I'm going to try it out, see how it is. I just feel like the military has really prepared me for, and great point right here, something I wanted to bring up. A lot of people are like, don't join the infantry. There's no translatable skills. You're right. Hard skills, you don't learn how to weld. You don't learn how to, do any of that kind of stuff. But the soft skills you get from, this is a whole military thing, but I like to say infantry just because that's where I came from. The amount of soft skills and things you learn about yourself that carry over into every field that you could possibly go into is unbelievable. It's invaluable. I've learned so much about myself, and like how we talked about how to handle situations, how to handle stress, adversity. And it allows you to like, if you approach it the right way, it gives you a perspective on things that allow you to do everything a little bit better. And encounter situations a lot better. So
joining the military for hard skills, I think, is good for some people. And by all means, if people see that as a valuable route for them, do it. As a forward observer, technically not a grunt, adjacent. Adjacent. I got to walk around with you guys. Sometimes with more gear because I have to carry a radio. Am I better than infantry? Yes. Am I going to claim it? Maybe. Cut that. Somebody on the comment section. Actually, this is a digression.
Attack him in the comment section.
Our first guest was a Medal of Honor recipient. I'm going to keep this in. It didn't bother me, but it is funny. One of our first videos is a Medal of Honor recipient, and one of the shorts gets posted, and somebody commented like, these people don't know anything about like war or whatever. Like they didn't see combat, like blah, blah, blah. I'm like, literally it's 2 deployed people, both in combat roles. One who literally has a Medal of Honor recipient. Like, I'm not trying to claim I'm like a badass, but like literally you couldn't have been further from the truth. Like at least with like Will Swenson. I'm like, that is like the most like categorically false comment.
Yes,
I've ever
literally
seen.
It doesn't it's about as wrong as you can possibly
exactly get. Like I don't care like whatever comments are, you probably get hate comments for whatever reason too. I'm just like, better brush it off. But I'm like, dude, just like Google that person's name. But back to the real thing is, hard skills are hard skills. Honestly, I think you can learn most things on the job. Yeah. Like when I did my first internship and it was equity research, like, did I know that much about equity research? No, but like you can learn it on the job. Like I think most things, given 6 months, you can kind of figure it out. If you have like a modicum of intelligence and that like just hunger of, I'm going to watch YouTube videos, I'm going to look up guides, I'm just going to keep practicing, you can figure it out.
Yeah.
But you can't teach, or at least I don't think you can teach that just like innate, just like hunger for knowledge or that like drive to just keep pushing yourself. And then like community college, on the job training, like all that will get you the rest of the way.
Absolutely. And I think to the point where you said people joining the military for a hard skill, I always try to say this to them. This is my rebuttal to them. When I'm like, I'm joining the Marine Corps and I'm going to do this because when I get out, I want to do this. Yeah. Great point. I'm glad you're looking to the future. People tend to forget that a 4-year contract is 4 years. Yeah. It's a small number, but 4 years is a in the grand scheme of life, not very long. But like 4 years from now, a lot of stuff changes. Mm-hmm. Like you're in there. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of these skills, like you said, you can learn on your own. So I say this. I'm really harp on don't join the Marine Corps. Don't join the military for a specific hard skill. If you want to, by all means, that's great. Join the military because you want to serve and you want to, yes, get that hard skill, but you want to like really see the world and experience the military for what it is. Yeah. Because that's truly what it comes down to.
Yeah. I mean, there's just so many better ways to get hard skills than the military. Really, like again, nothing, that's not like a slight against the military. Just like, if you want to be a welder, just do an apprenticeship. Like just go the welder route.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
You do not have to join the military to become a welder. Like if you want to be a welder in the military, great. But the main reason should be that you want to be in the military for the military experience.
Absolutely.
And the secondary thing is, and I get to, potentially learn these.
Absolutely. Great example of welder. My buddy Jay, like my co-star on my channel, infantry Marine with me, came over to Quantico with me. He was a TBS instructor teaching infantry skills to lieutenants. He is doing skill bridge right now, a 4-month skill bridge for welding.
Nice.
He's learning pretty much everything he could possibly need to know welding wise in a 4-month span at the tail end of his contract. To your point of like, there's easier ways to learn things. Yeah. Like the military, although it's free for you kind of, it is a lot of time and it is, a lot of things. So really make sure you want to join the military to serve and to like really live that life rather than like join for that hard skill.
Yeah. Being into content so much, have you thought about like LA, Hollywood, New York, like the coast where there's like a big scene for that or?
Yes. So I always thought about LA. And then when I was stationed in Pendleton, I went to LA. Fun time, but I realized very quickly, I'm like, 1, I hate traffic.
Yeah.
2, why is there homeless people walking with hammers next to my car at a red light? And then 3, I'm like, I kind of like to have a little bit more space. But I would love to like shoot content out there. And then New York City as well. Like, I mean, this is my first time here, but like I'm walking around, I'm just like, I can't stop recording stuff. I'm like, this can be a good shot. This can be a good shot. This can be a good scene. But for me creatively, and I try to look at the creative side, that's like what I really focus on more than anything is the creative aspect. Creatively for me, I need to be in a place where I can kind of like zen out. Yeah. So like the middle of Illinois, I don't want to stay there by any means. I think it can be a creative dead zone, but I think at the right times, going to the right field at a sunset, it sparks so many ideas for me.
Yeah.
And the same thing for like a chill beach on a coastline or a forest, walking through a forest. Like I go through a forest and I'm like, wow, this is, I get a feeling from this and I want to implement that feeling into a video somehow.
Yeah. Not the Logan Paul forest though.
Not the Logan Paul forest. Yeah. I remember watching that video. I was like, whoa. And then when he got canceled, I was like, no, it's my favorite guy.
No. Too soon. That was like 8 years.
Shout out to Logan Paul for watching this and hopping the podcast.
Would you do a boxing match live on the In the Field podcast? Breaking news?
Yes, I'll be boxing Logan Paul, actually, yes. It's funny, I always wanted to. Really? I said in one of my videos a long time ago when I was still in high school, I was like, if this video gets, like one of my 3 goals for the end of the year is to get in a boxing match with another YouTuber. And we actually started to organize one with a kid from a rival town of ours. We started to organize a big boxing event, but it fell through. We were going to host it in my dad's shed at his property. We had all kinds of logistics lined up and everything. It just ended up falling
insurance.
through. See, that's the part that stopped us was if we started looking at insurance, we started looking at money wise and we're like, okay, I'm in high school. I don't got that money.
You're like, ooh.
Let's forget about this. Let's just go create another mattress surfing video.
Exactly. It just becomes assault when you don't have
Yes.
You're like, ooh,
yeah,
crap.
And that's the cool part about the military. It's a lot because all my content I did before the Marine Corps, I had no funds.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I'd ask my mom for like $20 and I would go like buy Blizzards from Dairy Queen and then like give them to people outside for my videos. So it was like everything that my mom would give me, I'd like put that money or my mowing money into my videos. Literally like 100% of the money I would make would go into my videos.
Yeah.
But then when I joined the Marine Corps, I finally had like a consistent paycheck. And especially now, I'm able to like put money into things. So like I put money into trips, right? Went to Florida last weekend to surprise Jay. His parents paid for that, but I was able to like, buy drinks and like expend money on different things. And now that I have like a little bit of money to work with, I used to work with nothing. Now I have like a consistent paycheck. It's not a lot, but it's something. I'm able to like actually put money into like what I want to do, and it just opens up the opportunities a lot.
How do you, I guess, like think about that, given I don't think I did a great job setting myself up for success financially before leaving the military. I could have done a lot better. Granted, I had a fun time. Like, when did you start thinking of maybe this isn't 20 years? And like, how do you start to, because to your point, not that much money. It's all public knowledge. We can put up the pay grades right here.
Yeah.
Now, granted, housing, food, insurance, all that stuff is covered.
Yeah.
But then like, what do you do with the rest?
My financial journey has been all over the place. And I'll be honest, when I first joined, I wasn't thinking about finance, right? I was thinking of the 20-year thing.
Yeah.
And when I was a boot in 2-1 in the fleet, I needed a way to get away from the barracks. Like I had to. And me, I'm a person that can't sit around too long. But also like, you're getting messed with by your seniors all the time. Like I need a way out of the barracks without paying for a $20 sea breeze to go out into San Clemente. So I did the boot move, went down to an auto body shop in San Diego, and I bought a BMW. Didn't know anything about BMWs, didn't know they were a sports car, expensive to fix.
Yeah.
Bought a BMW for like $13,000, but I didn't know what interest rates were.
Yeah.
So it ended up being like $22,000. Ended up totaling the car a year later after we got back from Bridgeport. And yeah, I'm still paying that off to this day, but it's doable payments. It was never non-doable payments, but like first big mistake, right?
Yeah.
When I was on deployment, it ended up getting towed from the barracks because my person I had watching it didn't watch it right. $4,000 down the bank right there because it was in holding for like 20 days.
Jeez.
A lot of financial mistakes there. And then last summer, got into drinking a lot. And I wasn't like an alcoholic, but I was out partying, fun summer, great summer. But I realized very quickly that drinking is expensive. And that's a thing in the military. And I remember there was one point last summer, and I'll say this out loud, there was a point I was like, looked at my bank account. I'm like, wow, I have like $15 in my checking account. And I didn't have a savings account. And I was like, wow, I get out in a year. I gotta stop doing this. I gotta figure this out. And so at that point I was like, okay, I gotta lock in. Started putting out more YouTube videos. I was still doing YouTube at this time and started to kind of figure things out. And then actually started this year, I started like actually throwing a lot of money into my savings, started throwing money into my Fidelity accounts, my investment accounts, and trying to tone back my spending, which has been the biggest plus.
Yeah.
And trying to pull money from sponsors and bring in more money from other places. So it took me falling down and seeing my bank account at pretty much zero to realize that I need to lock in and figure it out. So I'm super late on the journey, but I'm figuring it out.
It's tough. I mean, when I was out in Tennessee with the 101st coming up to deployment, they're like, yeah, you can't keep your car in the barracks. I'm like, why? What do you mean I have to just figure it out? Like what 19-year-old just knows a parking lot? Like, so you just have to find somebody to be like, can I keep my car at your thing? Which is insane. The military should be offering that.
Yes.
If there's one thing the military should change. And then, the drinking piece or in general, like kind of going out. I mean, I remember Vicenza, Italy, weekend comes around, right? It's either a shit week or whatever. You get some, like, of course you're like, I want to blow off some steam. Like I want to go out into town. I mean, my buddy, we would pull out 300 euros, from the ATM, go off base, and that was gone. I mean, we were not coming back from a Saturday with any of that money back, which $300 at 18, 19 years old on one day is asinine. That's like a fifth of your salary on a single day. I don't think I even, you can hit that easily in New York, but I still don't think I hit $300 a night. In New York solo on just drinks.
I remember last summer, went to Virginia Beach and went on there, just got paid, came back and dropped like $800 on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday morning.
Yeah.
In Virginia Beach. And I was like, okay, drinking's really expensive.
Bottle service. I mean, that's how they get you. I think I've told this story before. The last weekend of my time in the military, we went out to Nashville, went to this great restaurant, then go to this club, no tickets, no whatever. And we're like, we'll order bottle service. And they're like, all right, go up there. I'm like, I have to use the restroom. Don't order anything until I come back. I get back and my buddy just goes, oh yeah, I ordered the Dom Perignon. And I go,
oh no.
What? And he goes, yeah, I ordered the Dom Perignon. I'm like, why would you order the Dom Perignon? He goes, oh, like all the rappers rap about it. I'm like, that's the most expensive. He's like, but they rap about it. I'm like, they rap about it because it's the most expensive bottle. Like, thank God it was Nashville. And thank God it was back in the day. So it was $500.
Oh, it was just $500.
It's like 2,000. I think in New York it would be like 2,000. Don't quote me on that. I have no idea.
Okay.
But it is. I mean, the positive is they didn't charge us for any of the other drinks that we ordered after that. But when you make $1,800, like $2,000 a month, and suddenly it's $500, and you have a car payment and all that other stuff.
Yep.
Not what I was expecting.
Yeah.
It was okay. It was fine.
Yeah. I mean, hey, if it was good night.
It's a story.
Yeah.
I've used that story so many times. ROI value, like good ROI storytelling wise.
I think that's one of the best benefits of the military.
Yep.
Is I think one of the most powerful things you can do, especially in the business world, is tell a good story. Military grants you plenty of stories. Whether you want them to come or not, you come away with plenty of stories. I think that's one of the best benefits of the military.
Makes you a good king.
Yes.
Game of Thrones reference. Game of Thrones. What's next? I mean, like, what are you doing now, I guess, to prepare for getting out? Is it just wrapping things up, or are you?
Yeah. So the transition process out of the military, I would say is more complex than getting into the military. Now, probably because when you're getting in, the recruiters handle most of the paperwork and stuff for you. But when you're getting out, it's all on your own. They give you tasks, figure them out, and it's like, oh, I don't know how to use like all this like online stuff. And like, I'm an infantry, I'm a grunt. I don't know how to do all this online Marine Corps stuff. So, finished all my TRS, my transition readiness school, all that stuff. I'm still in the process of like getting my VA claims, which is super confusing. And like you have references, but until you do it, you really don't know what's going on. You know what it is. And so I'm working on all this stuff. I pretty much got all my stuff done checkout wise. But like right now, I'm just really focusing on enjoying my last bit of time in the Marine Corps, right? Getting as many memories as I possibly can, but also like obviously building up my bank account, like I said, getting my finances better. Content wise, the biggest focus has been getting my platform to not only be a fan of the content I'm producing, but a fan of me. That way, because I'm not going to be one of those guys who gets out of the Marine Corps and posts like what I wish I would have known before joining the Marine Corps. I don't want to do that. I want to go and do more creative things and more creative ventures. So in order to translate my audience, I need them to become a fan of me. And I'm trying to do that through just being as real as possible. And whenever I meet someone out in town, like, what's up, dude? Like, be as nice as possible and just be myself. And that's what I'm trying to do more than anything. Just be myself. And I know that like, things will work out in the end. It's gonna be tough getting out. I know I've heard plenty of stories or it's tough. And I think, that brotherhood aspect of like, getting out and not having that same brotherhood that I have with the people that I'm in with right now is going to be a little bit tough, but I have a supportive family. I have a great town to go back to, and I have something that I can do. So I'm incredibly grateful. And there's people that are getting out that are taking a massive risk because they don't have anything to do right now, but props to them. I don't think anything in life, if you're not worried about something, you're going to do, it's not important enough. So.
And, to the point of it's tough and all this, like, yes, it is. And I remember when I was getting out though, what are they called? Not recruiters, but the people that try to keep you in,
the career counselors.
Yes. They're like, how are you going to handle this, and this? But then the military always, is like less than 1% of people serve. I'm like, well, so then if 99% of Americans are doing all right for themselves or, whatever, let's take out the homeless population, all that 90 to 95% of Americans are doing all right for themselves. I'm going to be okay. I'm pretty sure I'll be in the 90, 95% of the population that's doing okay for themselves. And with the skills from the military, like I'll land on my feet. Not to say that it's easy. And there's definitely an acclimation to civilian life where I think the biggest thing I felt is what I kind of call the void, where in the military you have, you wake up at this time, I'm doing PT, grabbing breakfast at the DFAC, then I'm doing this. And there is orders just came down, or, hey, somebody lost their nods and now we got to like shut down and find them.
Gosh, horrifying.
Terrifying. Oh my. And it's in the PL's like cabinet or whatever. It's like sick. Why did we not check that? But in the civilian world, I think the thing that and even now, like still sometimes struggle with is like when you have freedom to do whatever you want, you have to then create the structure yourself. Like,
yes,
when do I wake up? And like, what are the things that I want to put my effort into? And like, what are my dreams and aspirations? So when I got out, I knew I wanted to go to college. I thought I wanted to do investment banking and economics and all that. Well, life takes its twists and turns. I graduate. I'm then in a job and I'm like, well, like, what now? Like, now I am doing the thing that I like said I wanted to do when I got out. It's a different thing. I'm not in investment banking and whatnot, but I got into a great school. I'm in startups now, but it's like now what? And now I'm just like in this void. So then you're like, well, now what's the next goalpost? But in the military, you kind of, it's the next rank. It's now I'm going to do this billing, or I'm going to do this. And I don't know where I'm going with that story other than getting used to building those goals.
I mean, you gotta find ways to fill your time, because for the last 4 years of your career, of your life, you've always had something to do. And then when you get out, it's like, I had nothing to do this morning. Like, I'm kind of like, you start to think and you start to go a little bit crazy, like, and I would imagine that like we're similar in the sense that like we have to have something to do. Productivity is kind of what keeps our minds away. It's not like we're depressed people. Like, I'm a very optimistic and jubilant person, but like when I'm sitting around doing nothing, I'm like, this isn't fun. You know what I'm saying? And after time, that builds up on you. So yeah, that's something I'm definitely, that's why I'm working on the farm when I get back, because I want something hard to do to keep my mind off things.
That's another piece is, I have ADD. Military is actually, it's funny, like the military tries to screen out ADD, anxiety, all those things. They're actually great in a weird skills. Way. Like being anxious, like, what do you mean? Like, you're always checking things. You're always like trying to double down. You always think something's going to go wrong. Great for on a mission. You're like, where are we going to get a patrolling attack? And with like ADD as well, like, and what I found is, when you PT like every single day, like it's actually a great, it helps with a lot of the symptoms. But then like now in New York, like, I don't work out that much. Like I try to, sometimes it doesn't work. And so a lot of those things end up becoming more, and doing physical labor is just like such a good outlet for, even just like general happiness. I don't think that's anything controversial or like new.
No,
like working out makes you feel better.
It really does.
What is the one thing that you're going to miss the most about the military, and what's the thing that you're going to be most excited about outside of the military?
100%. I'm going to miss the brotherhood of the military. I don't think there's anything like it. I think it's the greatest. I think the Marine Corps is the greatest frat in the world. The guys I work with now, I haven't gone out and been in the field with them, but I love being around them. Great dudes. You meet some bad guys, some not so good people every once in a while, but like those not so good people still bring a lot of memories and a lot of joy to you, especially when you're in your lowest moments. Like my boys that I deployed with, like still very close to them, talk to them all the time, and like great people. I'm going to miss the brotherhood so much by far. And then I think I'm most excited for just like a new opportunity. I love a new beginning. I love turning a page, and I love just starting fresh. There's nothing like the hustle of starting fresh. I just love that feeling. And it's kind of a bad thing, because then you get like halfway into it and you're like, oh, it's kind of getting boring and repetitive. I want to do something new. Stay focused. But like that feeling of starting something new is just, it's one of the best feelings in the world for me. And I'm just really excited for that.
That's awesome. Well, where can people find you?
People can find me on YouTube at Isaac Telford. Look up Day in Life of a Marine, will pop up. Or on Instagram, Isaac Telford, double D's. We're trying to make it. We just hit 17,500 subscribers.
Nice.
So yeah, we're doing it. Day in Life of the Marine Corps, raw, and it's been fun, man.
And soon to be day in the life as a farmer, day in the life as a community college student.
Day in life of everything coming soon.
Community college. not to go on another digression, but love community. I did community college before going to for you, and it is one of the best, I think, opportunities. Like people do not utilize community college enough. And I think most service members, when they get out, should do community college because it's that perfect like stepping platform of, you haven't been in school now for 4 years, 5 years, depending like on the thing. It's like, I don't know. Love it.
Absolutely. And I'm that's exactly what I'm doing.
History?
Not history. I'm going to go in for some kind of like business marketing.
Nice.
Not exactly sure. I really need to get on that. That's another thing I have to get on. I've like already like got my stuff in, but like I'm not like fully applied yet. I'm just confused about the whole process. So
take some history classes, even if it's not required for your major. Taking fun classes, especially in community college. I think people try to over optimize their college degree because they're like, I'm out, I'm trying to catch up. I need to get my degree as fast as possible. In my opinion, the thing that made community college fun was, and school in general, was some of the clubs that I joined. I joined like the polo club. I joined a fraternity. Like I did student senate in community college. Those are all super fun things to like meet new people. But then like I took a comic book class, which was like, that didn't transfer. Like completely useless class in the like pure utilitarian sense of it. I love that class. I got to read comic books, come into class and like talk about them. And it wasn't just like, oh, like, what do we think about these comic books? It was like, what did the X-Men represent in the 60s? And like, what were like the oppressed people during that time? And like, how is this like analogous to the struggles of that time? And you're like, this is so cool.
Yeah.
And it just made going to school like so much more fun when you're like, quasi boring class, super, super fun class to break up the day, interesting class, and then, you know, back to boring class. Yeah. So
absolutely. I love that. I love that. I'll definitely 100% do that then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is, and it's like, in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to, like one extra year of school or whatever, or an extra quarter is not going to affect you in the long run.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I ended up, I don't know, having more applicable things from those fun classes then.
Soft skills.
Soft skills, exactly.
Soft skills, stories.
I know we're coming up at time.
Yeah.
I actually believe that school is meant for soft skills as well.
You do? Okay.
Hard skills are really meant, if you're going to be a doctor, med school, lawyer, JD, even to some extent, business. One, I think MBAs are a little overrated. I think for the most part, you can learn the things you need to learn about business on the job. Taking business classes in school is valuable in the sense that it gives you frameworks and it gives you an opportunity to learn from experts. I do think that the purpose of an undergraduate education is to teach you how to think and how to establish like frameworks in the world. Like I'm actually a big supporter of liberal arts degrees, and a lot of people shit on them. Like, oh, like how is a liberal arts degree applicable in the real world? It's like, yeah, but that's not the point of it. Like, just like the point of the military isn't to teach you a hard skill that's translatable. It's to teach you how to think and how to establish frameworks. And like, if people give you information to decide, like, is that true? Is that, just a logical fallacy? How do I perceive the world? Like, how do I want to go about certain things? And then also there's just like the being in a class with like students and talking to them and sharing ideas in a constructive way. Like, I think that's way more valuable.
Absolutely. I never thought of it like that. I mean, like we talk about the military, soft skills, like really interesting to say that. And honestly, like knowing that going into it, I think that like as little as that information, like, you know, easy as that like little information was, like that's a perspective changer. Yeah. Especially for me. Cause like, I'm kind of not excited for school just cause like I hate learning from a PowerPoint and, you know, and learning from people that don't necessarily do the thing, but like, it's all about perspective. So,
I mean, it is, because I mean, all a 5-paragraph essay is all about just trying to convince somebody that like what you're saying is true, right? Or like an idea, not even that it's true, just that you have an idea and you're trying to convince somebody. And there's some amazing books out there where I mean, the Greeks are the ones that kind of establishes where it's ethos, pathos, and logos, right? An appeal to logic, an appeal to emotion, an appeal to authority. I think I'm gonna mess that up, but like that's all. Like life is there's no like right or wrong way to do business for the most part. It is, I mean, business is I'm trying to convince you to buy my product, or I'm trying to convince you that what I'm doing is the right way, right? Well, taking an English class where you're trying to write a persuasive essay is the same exact thing.
Yeah.
You read a book, you think it's about this, you're writing a 5-paragraph essay to convince the reader what you're saying should be believed. Just apply that in the business sense, right?
Absolutely.
So that is why I love the like liberal arts, is you get these frameworks and then you can be like, okay, cool. I was writing about comic books, but like now I'm just not going to write about comic. I'm going to write about why I think there's failures within this market. And here's the logic behind it. And I'm going to appeal to emotion. I'm going to appeal to authority. I'm going to appeal to the logic of it. Because if you just give it an argument of like, here's the 10 facts of why this is wrong, people are going to be like, this is boring. I don't want to listen to it.
Yeah.
But if you like get people emotionally interested in it,
with like, what's in it for me?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, you said you were doing, merchandise. Like, you don't just go like, this merchandise is 100% cotton or, 100% people are like, I don't give a flying.
Yeah.
like
that,
the
brand and the story behind it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's convincing people. And that's English literature. It's writing. It's all the other stuff.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense. And I'm an instructor right now for like different courses, marksmanship wise. And whenever we do a class, we don't just start it off by like PowerPoint. We, like I said, with them, what's in it for me? Yeah. And we try to apply it to like, so I have a method, I apply it to a Marine Corps skill, but then I also apply it to like a civilian skill. Because not everyone wants to stay in the Marine Corps for 20 years, but some people are getting out soon, but like they can apply these skills elsewhere. Yeah. And it just like adds more, relativity to them. So
exactly. Isaac, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Awesome, man. I appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you, brother.